Abraham Lincoln once said that given 6 hours to chop down a tree, he would use the first 4 hours to sharpen his saw. How many times do we go at things and feel that we need to work harder? When the going gets tough, we think we need to work harder, not necessarily smarter. We don't always pause to reflect and think about how can we do this better? And it's not surprising when we get stressed, when things get tough, when there's urgency, etc., our brain actually shuts down and goes into reactive mode. Fight, flight, freeze. And so knowing that that's the case, what we need to do when things get tough is we need to slow down. We need to take a breath. We need to do the things that sometimes don't seem intuitive at that point. In fact, they seem counterintuitive. We need to do the opposite of what the reactive mode suggests. And that is we need to stop what we're doing. We need to reflect and sharpen our saw. And sharpening the saw at times can be as simple as just pausing. Sometimes it can mean that we need to gather information from outside sources, whether that is a friend, a colleague, or somebody else. Somebody maybe we need to call up and gather perspective. Other times it might be things like reading a book. Because how do you go about what you're doing and do things differently if you don't have additional new or different perspective? So the challenge that you have today is when you get into difficult situations, pause and figure, how do I sharpen the saw before I continue chopping? Because if you keep chopping with the dull axe, it's going to be harder and harder, and you're going to get more tired and less effective. Plus, it's not just when things are tough. Sometimes when you've got excess time, instead of just sitting around and waiting for the next thing to come along, take some time to sharpen your saw. Take some time to develop greater thought processes, greater insights, perspectives, knowledge, developing better routines and processes. And if you're a leader, those are great times to visit with your team and help them to sharpen your saw. One of the things that I'm excited about, a lot of the teams that I work with spend time reading a book. And some end up reading a number of books a year on a variety of different topics, providing additional perspective and insights that they otherwise wouldn't have, gaining additional alignment as a team, additional language that they can use to better explain and figure out how they accomplish the things that they want to accomplish. So I encourage you today, when given 6 hours to chop down a tree, spend time first sharpening your saw. So not only will the work go quicker, but easier and more effectively.